When did you realize you were being parentified? My mom used to send me and my sister to fat camp every summer, but not in the way you're thinking. She was too cheap to ever spend any money on us. So her version of fat camp was driving us to Uncle Harvey's farm and forcing us to work 10 hours a day with just a loaf of bread, whilst we wore weighted jackets. But there was one silver lining. Sometimes she'd leave us alone there all day and forget to mark down how much we lost, but I knew she noticed if nothing was done, so I'd always let my younger sister Kate be the one to sit in the shelter of the barn and even gave her my food. She'd play with the chickens as entertainment, and I tried to work twice as hard so she wouldn't get mad at us for being lazy. It actually sounds crazy saying it out loud, but for so long this is just the way things were, and it wasn't like we were fat or anything. Actually, I'm pretty sure we were grossly underweight. My mom never let us go near a weighing scale, but even back then I knew that there was no way it was normal for our bones to be poking out or to feel dizzy whenever we stood up. And when I got a little older, I noticed Uncle Harvey would slide my mom $5,000 in cash at the end of every summer, accompanied with a thank you for managing the farm. And Uncle Harvey was nothing like our mother. He was the type of guy to give us a lollipop whenever we saw him, to hold out his arms and yell, "Where are my girls?" before hugging us really tight until we were uncontrollably laughing. So when I turned 11, I started having my suspicions. For context, we were homeschooled, so all the information I was getting the world came from my mother. She fed us so many lies about the real world that it started to seem like this faraway place where everything was beautiful and perfect. She told us everyone was gorgeous, and if we were released before she prepped us, they would attack us and try to unalive us. She told us that if we ever tried to talk to one, they'd turn into monsters and eat us alive. Looking back, me and Kate's relationship with our mother was very much like Stockholm Syndrome. The constant hunger meant we were right in her control because food was always on our minds, but whenever anything happened, I always tried to convince her to take it out on me instead of Kate. I didn't really see her as my sister anymore. She was more like my daughter, and seeing her in pain was even worse than taking the pain myself, and most of the time it worked. At one point when I was 16 and Kate was 13, I honestly thought only one of us was going to make it out alive. I started giving her all my meals, water, and anything else I could, but luckily, one day, the smoking habit caught up to my mother, and she died of a sudden heart attack. I still remember when Uncle Harvey found us. We hadn't seen him since before our mom turned cuckoo crazy, and he couldn't stop crying. I didn't even understand why he was so upset, but he just kept repeating, "I had no idea, I'm so sorry." I later found out that the sight of our countless cuts and injuries were not normal, and instead very distressing. He immediately took us in, and I was faced with more food than I even knew existed. "Did the famine end?" I exclaimed. I still joy in my face. You see, my mom had successfully convinced us there was a famine going on. Meanwhile, Kate's eyes were so wide I thought her eyelids were about to split open. He asked us if we had a favorite food, and I bursted out laughing, thinking it was a joke. Again, he broke down crying. Uncle Harvey cried so much that month that it was hard not to see him as a wuss. I simply didn't understand how traumatizing our upbringing truly was, but slowly, as we adjusted to real life, anger filled me because he enrolled us into school, but the promise that we could pull out at any time. I was still skeptical about people in the real world not randomly attacking or murdering me, but on my first day, a girl smiled and asked if I wanted her to show me around. She wasn't perfect. Actually, she was a healthier looking version of me. I nodded slowly and her smile grew even brighter. She talked really fast and I straight up asked her if she wanted to attack me. I don't know what I was expecting her to say, but she just turned to me and violently shook her head before returning to the tour. Meanwhile, Kate had also made a new friend who was just as quiet as her. As the weeks went on, I realized just how effing psycho my mother truly was, how different she was to all the mothers I saw pick their children up after school. I started wishing she was alive just so I could unalive her again, and then I found something to pour all my anger into, or rather, someone. It was the last day before school ended for summer, so I finished early. When I got home, Uncle Harvey was on the phone. He didn't hear me come in because I had mastered the art of silent footsteps. They're safe now, and their mother did what needed to be done. That farm would have collapsed without her. He knew and didn't do anything. My heart dropped. The rest of the full story is on my channel and linked below.